Hello, I'm Wraith Campbell, and today I'm going to show you 9 different open chords on the guitar. Before we begin, I want to describe a few things which will make learning them easier. First, I'm in standard tuning, and the notes are low E, A, D, G, B, E. Now, with the fingers, you have the pointer finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, and the pinky finger. The thumb will not come into this. Okay, the first chord I'm going to show you is C major. So you take your ring finger and you place it on the 3rd fret of the A string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string. And you strum every note except for the very top one, the low E. Now when you strum this, at first it's going to be difficult, for one, putting down enough pressure, but also it is important that you're pressing down with the tips of your fingers and not at an angle. If you press at an angle, you're not going to, the notes are going to be muffled. And it's important with that G string that it rings out. So I would recommend trimming the fingers on your fretting hand. It's fine to leave them long on your picking hand. In fact, I would encourage it if you intend on playing finger style, because it'll add a little bit more brightness, more like a pick, to your picking hand. Okay, so we have C major. Now we'll move on to the next chord, which is G major. Take your ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the G string. Take your middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then take your pinky finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and strum all 6 strings. Now there's a few ways to play this. You may have also seen people play it with the middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, the pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the A, and then the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the high E. And this is also correct. Either is correct. The reason that I play it the other way is because it allows me to switch very quickly from G to C, which often go together in songs. A little easier than... Ultimately, it's good to learn a few different ways to play any chord depending on what the next chord is that you're moving through. I'm not going to do that today, though. I'm only going to go through the standard ways of playing all these open chords until you firmly understand them. Okay, the next chord I'm going to show you is what many think, myself included, the most difficult open chord, which is F. So in order to play this, take your ring finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the D string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then your pointer finger needs to lay over both the 1st fret of the B string and the 1st fret of the high E string. And you strum from the D string down. Like I said, this is a very difficult chord, especially because you have to keep these 2 fingers up as much as you can and then lay this finger flat. It'll take some practice. I recommend playing it a little bit until you get discouraged, and then switching to one of the easier open chords and practicing that, and then going back. That way you're still learning rather than just being frustrated and setting the guitar down. It will take a while to get onto this chord. Alright, the next chord I'm going to show you, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to go to minor. I'm going to show you E minor. So take your middle finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the A string, and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. And then you're going to strum all 6 strings. that's E minor. Okay, the next chord I'm going to show you is A minor. You're going to place your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string. And you're going to strum from A down, being sure to leave the high E open. The next open chord I'm going to show you is also a minor chord. It is D minor. And in order to play this, you're going to place your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the E string. Okay, now for the next few chords I'm going to show you, they're actually major variations of the minor chords that I just showed you, which are also very common. We will start with E major. So for E major, you place your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the B string, your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the G string. And once again, you're going to strum all 6 strings. Now the only difference between E major and E minor is this note. If you let off, it becomes E minor. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to play A major. So take your pointer finger, place it on the 2nd fret of the D string, your middle finger, placing it on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then your ring finger, placing it on the 2nd fret of the B string. And then you strum from A down. This one is another tricky one because all your fingers are so close together. They're all on the same fret, just on different strings. And you want to, once again, let that E string ring out. Okay, the last chord I'm going to show you is D major. You place your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string. And then you strum from D down. Now, some of these chords that I've shown you go together very well. Let's go back for just a minute. Now, this is not going to be an exercise on chord progressions. I will get into that in a later video. But for now, let me go back over some of the chords that I have shown you and how they could go together. Going back to C major. C major, F major, and G major all go well together. They're what you call a 1, 4, 5. And you determine that. It's a little bit of music theory. I'll go into that in more detail later. But you determine that by your starting point, which in this case is C, and then you count 4 past C, so including C. So C, D, E, F. F is the 4, and then the 5th, C, D, E, F, G, B, G. Now this can work with other chords as well. Let's go back to A minor. So you have A minor, D minor, and E minor all go well together for the exact same reason, actually. If you count 4 past A, you have A, B, C, D minor, and then the 5th would be E minor. So you have your 1, your 4, and your 5. 1, 4, 5. And this could work for the major chords that I showed you. You have A major. And you count 4 past A, B, C, D, and you have D major. And then the 5th would be A, B, C, D, E major. Okay. One additional thing which is good to practice, the chord progressions, like I said, I will cover later on. It is important that you can recall these chords and play them without too much thought, because the idea is that you can just kind of grab the chord. Now that will take time to do that, but this is the goal. For your picking hand, something that is useful, besides strumming like I was, which it may seem mundane, but just going down and then back up as evenly as possible is very useful. So practice alternating, and also with picking, practice picking each individual note, both with downstrokes like this, and alternating strokes like this. And it'll take a while to get onto, but the idea is that you can incorporate both of them together. That's one more that I will actually show you real quick, which is from G major. So if you do 1, 4, 5 again, you have G, A, B, C, which is the 4, and then D, which is the 5. So G, C, D. Okay, well that's going to be all for now on these open chords. And later lessons, I will give more examples of scales of how to use these chords and progressions, but it is important to first memorize these and be able to play them without too consciously having to fumble around with your fingers. Don't expect this to happen overnight. It will take time, but the more chords that you learn, the easier it will become to learn future chords. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.